Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about Omar Mateen, the Pulse Nightclub shooter in Orlando, Florida. It's been almost a year, probably a little over a year and a half since that happened. At the time, it was the worst mass killing in U.S. history. There were mass shooting, because there were mass killings like 9/11 and Oklahoma City bombing. But anyway, this was the worst mass shooting. 49 people, 50 if you count the perpetrator, Omar Mateen, died. And I think it was another 58 wounded. See, this was the start. You see, as I've said before in numerous other videos, spree killers are getting better. They are starting to realize the secrets to achieving a high body count. And a big factor, probably the biggest factor in that, is an enclosed space with few or no exits, and a lot of people packed into that space. And he came in with a AR derivative, a 6 hour, I forget what it was, but how you say it, but it was an AR derivative. And it wasn't exactly an AR-15, but it was close enough. It was 5.56. And he also had a Glock 17 pistol with him. When you get into when you start to dissect this, he caused a lot of carnage, and he knew exactly how to do it. He eventually, after the slaughter, he eventually held himself up in the bathroom with people that were hiding there, and he took them hostage. And ultimately, he was killed by the SWAT team. He had 8 bullets in him. According to the autopsy report, 1 in the head, a few in the torso, 1 hit his toe, blah, 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 blah. He was just shot up. But anyway, Omar Mateen was 29 years old. And what I'm sure most of you know by now is that he frequented the nightclub. And I think he said something about the reason he gave for doing this was because he was trying to avenge a leader of a ISIS commander who was killed. His name was Abu Wahib or something. Anyway, he was frequently visited the nightclub, and as pretty much everybody and their mother knows, this guy was Muslim, and he would do things that Muslims weren't supposed to do, like, hit on, try to pick up other guys, and drink. And looking into his backstory, a few people say he was bullied, a few people say he was the bully, but chances are he did a lot of both, because, the bullies have bullies themselves a lot of the time. There's somebody after them, and while they're after you, and maybe, hell, a lot of my viewers have bullied other people in the past. And I'm sure I admit I was bullied a lot when I was a kid, and I did a little bullying myself. I admit it, I'll be honest. But anyway, so both of those accounts could be true. It was just like the elephant and the 5 blind men. The one blind man grabs a hold of the elephant's ear and he says, "It's a fan." Another grabs a hold of its trunk and says, "Hey, it's a rope." Another man grabs a hold of the leg and says, "Hey, it's a tree trunk." They were all wrong, and in a way, they were all right. They all had a piece of the truth. Ultimately, it's like, they might have said that, he was a latent homosexual and all this stuff. I don't necessarily buy that. It probably had a lot to do with the fact that he frequented the nightclub and knew it would be a good place to hit. He'd studied the location and realized that if he was going to do something like this, this would be the place, present the best possible opportunity to achieve a high body count, because there weren't very many exits. It was packed full of people. There was a lot of sound, a lot of music too, and people talking to draw out the sound of his firearms being discharged. People would thought it was firecrackers, just like they did when Stephen Paddock unleashed hell in Las Vegas. Anyway, what's happening here is he did this because, there were a lot of things going wrong in his life. His second wife had just left him. He was married twice. And at the time, he had a 3-year-old son, too. And his second wife is now in some deep legal shit. Last time I checked, she is in trouble for obstructing justice and has pled not guilty. I don't know if the charges were dropped or if the case is still ongoing, but I'll just leave it at that and move on. Omar Mateen had a concealed carry license. He was a licensed security guard, and he had no adult criminal record. Although it is worth noting that in his formative years, in his middle school years, he openly praised the 9/11 hijackers, and even went as far as to tell people Osama bin Laden was his uncle and that he had taught him to shoot an AK-47. And but anyway, his father, who was from Afghanistan, completely disowned him and said he's, not sad at all about his son's death, according to one report. He said what his son did was against humanity or something like that, so he doesn't feel bad about his son's death at all, according to one report. In any case, what we have here is, it's like he could have had issues with his sexuality. Islam was most likely another factor, another motivation. And maybe he feared that he was nobody. I mean, think about it. To a lot of people, the fact that there's this big, huge universe and this big swell and a huge amount of galaxies, just billions of galaxies, and in this one galaxy that we call the Milky Way, they're on this little rock called Earth. It's out in the middle of nowhere, and they're just one little speck, on this big, huge Earth that orbits this big ball of hot gas that we have designated as the Sun. And as a result, he wanted to achieve significance. And he just knew that, if he carried out this attack in the name of ISIS, he would be burned into the memories of everyone forever, into the eyes of most people as a villain, and in a small category of sickos, terrorists, admirers, and homophobes, he will be propped up to be a hero. To tell the truth, it doesn't really matter. It probably doesn't really matter to him. It doesn't anymore because he's dead. The ultimate truth to his psyche was splattered all over the bathroom of a gay nightclub in Orlando. He dealt with, a lot of different things. I mean, he was into bodybuilding and all that jazz. And he took a few pictures of himself. And ultimately, it started a political firestorm like a lot of these mass shootings do. But this one brought up a curveball. It brought up homophobia and everything like that. Of course, gun control, and just a whole slew of, Islamophobia, Muslim sentiment, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's just, these tragedies will always have been exploited, and they always will be, for the political gain of other people. And anyway, he was obviously a very miserable person, because he had to have known that this attack would result in his death. And he wanted to go out in a big way, which he did. And there could be many factors involved. He could have been insecure. There are probably many factors involved. He could have been insecure about his sexuality. He could have been, radicalized and felt that radical Islam would bring meaning to his life, meaning to his meaningless life. He may have felt, wanting revenge against society that had wronged him, that he felt had wronged him. He may have been devastated over his wife leaving him. Ultimately, we don't know, because the only man that can answer these questions is dead. And but we can speculate, as you have seen me do. And there was probably many factors involved as to why he did this. But remember, these people don't just snap. This takes years. I mean, when he was praising the 9/11 hijackers, that was a sign that he could be trouble in the future. He was also put on the FBI's watch list, but was in 2013, but was taken off shortly thereafter. So it's just, these things are very complicated, people. Don't think there's a simple solution. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you can, leave a donation. Oh wait, I don't do donations anymore. But anyway, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Everything's appreciated. Bye. And God, and rest in peace to everybody who died at the Pulse Nightclub in 2016. Talk to y'all later.